become who we want to be as individuals. And at the end of the day, that's going to help us be a successful offense.
And the man, one-on-one coverage because the safety rolls to Jefferson's side.
Jordan Love hit me up the night of the draft, just congratulating me, let me know it's time to work. A.J. Dillon was open arms.
Von Rock caught a ball with his thighs. We didn't even talk about that.
It was more of with his ass.
If he throws a good ball, this is a running, catching touchdown untouched.
Like, KP does like these flips after every win, and I'm like just waiting for him to do his flip.
To know that we still love each other, that's what football brings us.
Across the safety's face.
So you can tune in anywhere that you guys follow us on social media. Welcome to the Practice Squad podcast. We are wrapping up week 5. The San Francisco 49ers sit promptly on top of the NFL, undisputed as of this moment in time. And I think we're feeling pretty good about finally at this point, like what team's kind of good, what team's kind of bad, what teams have problem areas they really need to address. Mark, how are you doing and how are you feeling? I got to give you a shout out. You are on fire with your picks right now for best bets. So
some could say I know ball. Some would disagree. The opinion is for yours to decide out there, but I'm feeling pretty good. I'm seeing the board well. What we said at the end of last week's episode, John, we love the board. We literally almost got horned up over the board, if we're being honest.
It was a good board and a lot of exciting matchups. And I think a lot of the matchups, with the exception of that Dallas 49ers game, kind of went how we wanted. Exciting stuff, good revenge games, but we'll get into the actual matchups. I'm sure we have plenty of thoughts about that game in particular, amongst others. But the first thing we want to...
One thing, too, before you get into that, I want to say, you shout out the 49ers, right? You gave them their shout out. They're the best team in the league. But there's plenty of dispute, which we'll get into as a sneak peek, of who's the bottom of this league. Because there is much more debate there than who's at the top.
Yeah, and I'll unveil it in a little bit, but we were putting Caleb Williams on the intended Tank Bowl matchup of the week, and now I've added Caleb Williams in a tank with a little military helmet on too, just to add to that vibe, because there are 3 or 4 teams, maybe 5, that could be in the running for tanking for Caleb. So
which we didn't think of a couple weeks ago. I mean, that's new. Like, there's literally more teams each week that are entering into this, like, hey, we're really, really bad.
Usually it's less, right? Usually as the weeks go on, you go, okay, like here's the 3 teams that are really bad. And then, by week 15, 16, it's like, okay. And this year it feels like it's inflating. There's like more teams that are just absolutely saying, all right, shit, never mind on the season. I guess we'll start looking forward to next one. But speaking of tanking, I think we just need to talk about, I guess, the coaching equivalent of tanking. Really, this is worse than that. This is what I think Mark and I would consider the worst coaching mistake for anybody that is getting paid to do coaching as a job that Mark and I have ever seen in our lives. And when we posted about that, a lot of people kept mentioning, for some reason, the Pete Carroll decision in the Super Bowl to pass it instead of run it. Guys, I need you to understand this. That still requires you to execute and run a play properly. You can disagree with the play call all you want. I think Mark and I definitely disagree with not handing it off to Marshawn in that particular play. But Miami just needed to take a knee. That's all that needed to happen. The clock would have ran out and they would have been shaking hands with a W in this game. And instead they run it. And when they run it, they fumble the ball. And then they allow Georgia Tech to go about 70-something yards in 3 plays. And so for those who have not seen this, I was at Motor City Casino. Hannah was playing a gig for a work party there. And so, it was a fun night for me. I got to listen to her play music and watch some football. And I go into like the FanDuel Sportsbook area or whatever they call it. I think I might have to refresh this real quick. And this is what I see on the screen, basically, is this last play about to happen. And I couldn't believe my eyes. I could not understand. I was like, is there a reason they're running this? And sure enough, they fumble it, and the rest is history. Mark, what is your take on this?
Well, if you follow us on TikTok or any of our shorts, you've seen my take. I was pretty fired up about this. As a coach myself, and as someone who played the game forever, I can't even begin to understand this decision. If you are out there saying that this is on Miami's players, the running back for fumbling, some people were saying it's on the quarterback for not understanding he just needs to take a knee. Listen, this was a play call. This was a play decision by the coach. You do not, as a player, ever get to override your coach. He said to hand the ball off. That's what the quarterback's going to do. The running back's going to run the ball and try to get yards. That's what he was told to do in that moment. Why he was told to do that, I have no idea. Zero idea. The game's over. Georgia Tech can't stop the clock. You catch the snap, you take a knee, and it is literally as good as done. The game is literally won at that point. You decide to run the ball, what, for style points, for bonus yards? I don't really know, just to rub it in the other coach's face. I have no idea, but you cost your team a game. And Miami, let's keep in mind, was undefeated at this moment. They were undefeated. They would probably be a top 10 team entering this week had they finished that game the way that they should have. And that's just by taking a knee in the victory formation. That's why they call it victory. It's because you've already won. And there's just no explanation. The coach should be fired. It is by far the worst thing I've ever seen. You could talk about high school, college, NFL football. It's the worst thing I've ever seen. That game was done. It was over. It was won. Miami was celebrating. It was over. And because of that arrogant, ignorant decision by Mario Cristobal, which, by the way, he's done something similar at Oregon when he was there a few years back, which I talked about and showed in our TikTok. If you want to go check that out, it's inexcusable. It's inexcusable. It's infuriating if you're a player. I actually feel bad for those players. It's embarrassing to see any coach make a decision that costs the game like that. You wonder, honestly, if he has, alternative motives, like almost like he bet against his own team. Like it's that fishy. Because
it's egregious. And I felt bad because, as you were saying, like, that running back was on the sideline, like beside himself.
And it's not his fault.
I was about to say, he's not the one to blame.
Should have never been in that situation ever. I mean, you saw the clip of the lineman saying, "What the F are we doing?"
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, no shit. Like, what are you doing? Like, why did we run a play? It doesn't, there is no explanation to it, John. It is terrible. It's horrible.
Yeah. I'm curious, like, has he, like, said, I didn't watch, like, the post-game press conference, if there was one. Like, has he tried to explain what his line of thinking was?
He tried to, someone asked him, basically, a reporter asked him pretty much flat out why he didn't take a knee, and he gave some roundabout answer as to why, because there was a minute 26 seconds left, and we need to get a first down to really, finish the game, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, yeah, okay, but, like, why didn't you take a knee on the third down? And he says something along the lines of, we should have taken a knee. So eventually he gets to that statement of acknowledging that he should have taken a knee, but he was just like talking and just going on and on about the drive before that decision to not take a knee. It's like, dude, the game was already won. You already did that drive. You already did what you needed to do to get the clock low enough. There were no timeouts left. You literally just had to catch the ball and sit on the ground. Like, it couldn't have been any easier.
It's mind blowing. It's so crazy.
And that coach has lost the trust, man. There's no recovering from that. The players can never trust you as a head coach after something like that. There's no reason to even bring. He should be fired. We shouldn't even be talking about that. He should have been fired already.
Somehow he might have been the only person in the entire stadium that didn't know that, he was making the wrong call there.
I had no idea why he would.
I'm pretty sure even the dude that's, like, shit-faced in the nosebleeds of that game was aware that they should have been taking a knee. I just don't understand how the head coach of a Division I football program didn't recognize there's X amount of time on the clock. I get X amount of time on the play clock.
There's literally no explanation. I have no answer. I can't.
Oh man, that was one of the craziest. Just listening to everybody's reactions in the casino too. Where it's like, there was somebody that clearly bet on that game.
Yeah,
it was like, what?
There was someone that missed a big parlay because of that. And it's karma. The fact that Georgia Tech drove the field like that and scored the way they did, that's total karma. Like, once that happened, it was like, oh shit, here we go. Like, right. Georgia Tech should not have been able to score. I mean, there was 20 seconds left. They had to go 70 yards with no timeouts, and they did. Like, and they score on the last play of the game. Like, of course, like, that's what happens when you make a historically bad decision. You deserve to get punished for it and embarrassed for it. And that's exactly what happened. The football gods put him where he deserved to be after that decision. You want to run up the score, you want to be an ass, you want to do whatever his purpose was, he got exposed.
Yeah. No, the football gods show absolutely no mercy. I think if the season has taught us one thing, it's that. So are you ready to hop into recapping the NFL games for the week? Any
Damn
other
straight
college
I
stuff?
am.
Let's go. Let's go.
Damn
All
straight
right.
I am.
So first things first, Mark and I, along with probably the rest of the United States, picked the Commanders to win this game. Obviously, that blew up in our faces. And our pushback is that we didn't know Dick Butkus was going to die that day.
That is totally asterisk next to that pick by both of us.
Speaking of football gods, that changes everything, right? And sure enough, the Bears came out and looked like they were the Buffalo Bills or something like that.
Number
Offense
one
was
rule
on
in
fire.
sports betting. Number one rule. Okay. If there is any sort of death to someone important to that team, whether it's a player's family member, whether it's a kid, whether it's a parent, grandparent, whether it's a legend like Dick Butkus is for Chicago, all bets are off. We made that pick, and neither of us had it in our best bets, so we're safe there. But we made that pick.
It's right there.
Oh, shit.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
that should not count. There's an asterisk next to that one because you did not know that Butkus was going to die. Okay. He died the day of the game too, which I mean, once that happened, I tweeted it before the game. I said, my pick
we take it back.
We take it back. I literally said it before the game started. And so kind of it is what it is, but you can never, ever bet against that.
Is removing Chase Claypool the reason why the offense was gelling better, or did somebody on the coaching staff wake up? I'm struggling to make sense of this because the Commanders, now they could win or lose this game, sure. Like I'm not saying that the Commanders should have just outright, no matter what the situation was, beat Chicago. I am saying that Chicago scoring as many points as they did in as short of amount of time as they did, with their offense being that productive, I was not ready for that at all. Against Denver, it didn't surprise me as much because Denver's defense has been historically bad. They're literally last in the league in every single major defensive statistic that you can imagine. But, Commanders are a decent team. Like, they're a mid-tier team. So this was just shocking to me. I don't know if it was the connection with Justin Fields and his receivers. I don't know if he had more time. I can't explain it. But other than the fact that, of course, Dick Butkus dying just completely changed the way this team plays football for a game. I'm not sure.
John, on Thursday night, obviously the Dick Butkus blessing was part of that, but he wasn't dead yet the week prior and their offense looked good. So, like you said, I don't have a full explanation. I just think that Justin Fields they're letting him loose a little bit more. They're letting him throw it around. They're letting him just be who he is. And it's less of a robotic, mechanical movements and reads and just letting him be a playmaker, which is what he is. And I mean, I'll tell you what, dude, some of the throws he made are some of the best we've seen so far this year. I mean, he's in the, I'm going to give it away. He's in the Aliens of the Week this week. So you want to go watch that video. He is one of the Aliens of the Week this week for his performance in that game. And a few of his throws in that game were special. And DJ Moore has been special, and Mooney is a special weapon. And they just are starting to come together a little bit. The defense has played a little bit better. I don't know.
It's crazy to think about. And honestly, like, I think we can kind of confidently say after this week that the Bears aren't the worst team in the NFL potentially. And unfortunately, the team that is most likely to be the worst in the NFL is not even going to get a first-round pick, a high first-round pick as a result of failing that badly, because I think that team is the Panthers and that pick belongs to the Bears. So I don't know if the Bears coaching staff is safe still, or their management, but one thing that I do know is that they have a lot of draft capital to work with, and it could really work to their benefit next year. So all right, Mark, you called this one perfectly. Jaguars basically, turned London into their home fields for being there for 3 weeks. They're comfortable. They're in a flow. Bills show up and they just don't look right. I guess, traveling overseas obviously kind of take a toll on players. They're kind of in a funk. The schedule's not the same. And all of a sudden, they look like shit that entire game. me and Drew were texting. This is going to make a lot of people upset, but I basically was saying that Josh Allen looks like Taysom Hill with a good arm in this game. And I know that
you can't slander Joshy like that, dude.
The problem is, dude, is he's a great quarterback and the Bills are a great team. They are never going to do anything if there are games where Josh Allen looks the way that he did this game. It's reckless. They're not taking care of the ball. They sputter out randomly throughout the season. And I get that people have bad games, but the problem is that like their bad games causes them seeding. It costs them playoff games. I don't know what you want to compare it to. It's problematic. And again, I get, Jags are comfortable in London, Bills were not, so you can add that into it. But the situation is the situation, and they still were not playing good football whatsoever.
You can't keep switching up on Josh Allen. Okay, only I get to do that. Josh Allen last week had more touchdowns than incompletions against the Dolphins, who you said might be the best football team we've seen ever.
Best offense, first of all.
Whatever.
Best
Okay.
offense.
Whatever.
Josh Allen wasn't playing against Miami's offense. He was playing against
he made
defense.
Miami's offense look like a JV offense.
He did not do that either. He did not play against Miami's offense.
But his offense made the other offense look like a JV offense. So,
okay.
I blame this game on exactly what I said would happen. Not Josh Allen being bad, not the Bills being bad. They're still one of the best teams in the AFC. But when you have a team that's across the pond and has been there double the length, and the Bills have to travel there and then play a 9:30 kickoff game where they're not adjusted to the time change, they're not adjusted to the travel, they have all the distractions in the world because they're over in London. Like every advantage in the world was to Jacksonville. And that's exactly what happened. That's all this was. Don't overthink it. This was a total trap game. We said it last week, and that's exactly what happened. They fell into the trap. The Jags are a good football team. They played better than the Bills. They were more prepared than the Bills, and that's what happens.
And I'm defending the fact that you're saying I can't switch up because my case has been very consistent, which is the fact that Josh Allen is inconsistent. So, yes, I can definitely give him his flowers for when he blows out a team. And I can also say,
but you didn't give him flowers last week.
I didn't not. The Bills either look like a juggernaut and they look like a team that cannot be stopped by anything or anyone, or they look like they have no clue how to run an offense. And there's no in between. It's a habit at this point. It's not just this season. This has been an issue with the Bills for 3 seasons now. And so that's all I have to say about it. And look, if they up their ball security and they get a little bit more of an established run game going without Josh Allen being the running back, things probably will change pretty quickly. But as long as they're having stupid turnovers and they look sloppy in certain situations, they're going to continue to run into these issues and be a very inconsistent team. And they're going to get taken advantage of in critical moments if that's the case. So that's all I got to say about it. Speaking of the best offense on turf, I was actually surprised how close this next game. Is that the right score? Was it 19-21? That doesn't sound right.
No, I think it was more. I think they won by more.
Yeah. No, 16-31. I'm not sure how that happened. My bad, everybody. No rhyme or reason to that. Devin Achan, it's unfortunate he's probably going to be out for the next week or two with a knee injury. Looked incredible this game. I don't even know how many yards he rushed for. I just know
over 100.
He looked so fast.
Do you know, John, fun fact, and this is probably one of the craziest facts so far of the year. On his 60-some yard touchdown run, he was clocked at the fastest miles per hour of any player so far this season, only to be broken a few series later by his teammate Tyreek Hill in the same game. That's when you know, like, when you have a receiver and a running back going back and forth between getting clocked at the highest miles per hour of anybody in the NFL all season long, and you have it happen within, 8-10 plays of each other, like, that's a cheat code. I mean, that's a cheat code. That's kind of hard to stop. That's pretty difficult when you also have an offensive mastermind calling your offense with all these shift and motions on almost 85% of the time. And you're running simple plays, but you're getting to them in so many different ways. And then when you hit that play, you have a guy running 22 miles per hour. I mean, do you know how fast that is? Have you ever seen, if you've ever watched The Office, you've seen Michael Scott when they're running past the speedometer thing that cops use to show you if you're going over the speed limit. And he goes and the car drives past and he gets like a 25 and he goes, top speed. And there's like, that was the car. And he goes, nope, beat it, top speed. That's actually how fast these guys are running. They're running 22 miles an hour.
It's ridiculous.
That's insane. That is a car. I mean, if you're driving around in a neighborhood with kids playing, you have to stay under 25 miles an hour. That's how fast they're running. They'd be dangerous in a neighborhood if they're running around. That's how fast they are.
I mean,
it's
seriously.
crazy.
No, it's absolutely nuts. Like the fact that the human body can achieve that with football pads on, carrying something.
They call him Cheetah for a reason. But I mean, but it's ridiculous because who the hell is this A-Chain guy? Like, where did he even? I mean, he's a rookie.
Yeah, and Waddle's no slouch either with his speed.
Waddle's been probably. I think Waddle's in the top. Yeah, Waddle's in the top 10 highest clocked and miles per hour. Like they are, and so is Mostert. I think they have four. I think they have four of the top. I don't even know, 7 or 8 fastest clocked miles per hour so far this year on the same offensive team.
No, they were all of the top 6 at one point, and now you're saying they. Achan and Reek added to that, so now they are 8 of the top 8.
I mean, probably. I mean, it's actually insane how you get all those guys on the same offense.
I don't know. I don't know.
I'm not really sure how that even happens.
Exactly. I don't know if that was like deliberate and intentional. It's just, hey, we're just gonna be so fast that nobody can catch us. But that's how the team got built, and it's ridiculous. By the way, they currently are outpacing the greatest show on turf. As far as
the most yards through 5 games in NFL history.
Correct. So
I mean,
Mike McDaniel's response to that, by the way, was
very funny.
Yeah, he went, season achieved. That's exactly what we were going for.
They win football games. He's happy. That's what matters. He is a offensive juggernaut. Like he's one of the smartest offensive minds that there is, and they continue to show it every single week. And I think, I don't know. They're always going to be a threat in the AFC with an offense like that because they'll stay in just about every game.
Yeah, it's insane. Now we got the Panthers at the Lions, and out of all the takes that I heard about this game, I liked Big Cats on part of my takes the best, where he said, "Hey, I put just as much weight as a good team taking care of business against a bad team and blowing them out as I do, a good team going to another good team, stadium in an away game and winning the game," which the Lions have done a good chunk of both so far this season. And look, the Panthers are not a good team. I understand that. The point is that the Lions dominated in all 3 phases of the game. And 24-42 is honestly kind of a misleading score because the touchdowns came in garbage time where the Lions were basically resting their starters. It probably should have been like 42-7 if we're really doing starters against starters for this game. So they looked phenomenal. It has me pretty hyped up going into next week against Tampa, who's a damn good team at their stadium. So another good test for this team. Allow some of our guys to get healthier. And Ben Johnson, man, like there were 2 or 3 different plays this game where I'm like, I've never seen anybody do anything like that before. And it just looks so natural with this team. And I don't know how extensive their playbook is at this point, but I feel like we see 2 or 3 plays where we're like, I've never seen that before out of this team every single week. And it's really a treat to watch. And the run game being as insane as it is. Man, Aiden Hutchinson, like somebody said, if I speak, I'm in big trouble. But like Aiden Hutchinson right now, 12 solo tackles, 4.5 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 1 interception on the season. Bosa with 7 solo tackles, 1.5 sacks. Mark, you said that Aiden Hutchinson needed to be comparable to a Bosa in order for this second pick to be worth it. I think that he's absolutely living up to that standard. His awareness is incredible. The way that he sees the field is incredible. And they just let him go out there and be an athlete, and he makes plays. It's awesome to watch. So that's my
getting
spiel.
Closer and closer. And, Yeah, your spiel's spot on. I was very blessed to be at this game,
Sir.
surrounded by a great game day environment. Repping our new merch, by the way, and got some compliments on that. Um, Eminem was in the house, which was pretty sick. They do like a celebrity cam, and you don't know who it's going to be. We knew like pre-game, we knew Devin Booker and some guys like that were in the stadium. We're like, oh, they're probably just going to show someone like that. And then they showed Eminem, and the place went nuts. I mean, that guy has a grasp on Detroit like nobody. I mean, he owns this city, like he is Detroit. You know what I mean? If you said, hey, name one person from Detroit, most people are going to say Eminem right off the rip. But the Lions dominated this game from beginning to end. I mean, you always look over your shoulder as a Lions fan, right? If you're ever in a race and you're crushing everybody, most people never have to look back. But if you're a Lions fan, you're looking back. Why? Because time and time again, we have had our hearts ripped out from behind because we have a lead, we have a good season going, we have a couple good draft picks, and then we're like, wait, we're going to blow this somehow. And time again so far this year, we have not. We have finished games, we have finished drives, we do what we have to do. And it is a refreshing new thing to be a Lions fan in this era and this kind of culture. And people are starting to notice. I mean, they're a top 5 team in the NFL. They're a top 3, you could argue top 2 team in the NFC right now. And there is nothing weird about saying that. There is no one that can possibly argue that they're a top 5 NFL team or a top 3 NFC team. Yeah. And that is special. And there was a lot of talk about that before the season. A lot of people said it might be hype. Eventually, hype becomes reality. And sometimes hype becomes, not reality. But in this case, it's real. I mean, It is as real as it gets. And they are definitely a contending team. And it is exciting. And I think that they continue. I mean, they're doing this with a banged up roster. You talk about, like what you said, Big Cat's point. He's spot on. How you beat the bad teams is just as important as how you rise up in big games. Anybody can rise up and get excited for a big game. But to impose your will on a team that you're superior to is a whole different thing. They did it without Amon-Ra. Okay, with J-Mo not playing well. Which, by the way, J-Mo may be a bust. I'm just going to put that out there. He continues to fail in big moments. I know it's still early, but it's concerning me.
Talk to me at the end of the season. Like I said,
that's no Jahmyr Gibbs. No Jahmyr Gibbs in this game.
No Gibbs.
Mosley goes down in the game.
Horrible for him, by the way.
Hutchinson missed some of the game. He was definitely banged up after getting tackled after his pick. He was not the same after that. It's, Brian Branch didn't play. Like, we are a shell of what we are supposed to be, and we're still dominating. And I get the Panthers are bad, but we're still dominating another NFL team. And that's all you need to say about Detroit. I don't know the last time it's been like that. We joked the spread was 9.5 in this game, and we joked about it. But it's reasonable,
Yeah. Well, and that's the crazy thing is, like, we posted on our Twitter before this game, like, hey, Lions in a perfect world can cover the spread, but be careful because of the fact that there's so many injuries, right? Like, this might not be as big of a blowout as we're expecting it to be, and the injuries didn't matter at all. Not even a little.
Next guy up.
Yep,
they're reloaded.
Another
really exciting.
That's worth showing everybody is just reverse flea flicker to Iowa tight end. Is the name of this play actually? It's
Copycat League.
Later that night, San Fran runs it.
Great minds think alike.
I mean, seriously, like that, they say like it's a compliment when somebody like covers your song, right? If you're like a big musician and some other musician covers your song, it's a compliment. Ben Johnson has to feel like Shanahan just covered his song there. Like, that has to feel so cool. Seeing one of the best offensive play callers in the league decide, I'm going to use that for tonight's game.
John, I hate to burst your bubble too, but that play has been run plenty of times before. That day, very, very odd that the 49ers just so happened to run it later. He definitely probably saw Ben Johnson do it, but Michigan ran that a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, Michigan made a post about it, which I think is hilarious.
That's not a new play, but it's the awareness to call it when he called it, right? It was off of a turnover. Nobody was expecting it. I actually looked, no, when I say nobody, I actually looked at Johnny and the girls we were sitting with at the game, and I was like, hey, trick play coming. And trick play. I mean, you've been at a Lions game with me, John. There's times where I just kind of have
you
a feel
you
for
have
what.
a good feel for what's going on for sure. By the way, my only question too is was it like metrics louder than what you're used to in the stadium?
Dude,
Like,
it was always at it was always over 100 on the decibel count, and they kept showing it over and over and over. I think the highest I saw it get to was like 115. Every child had to have noise canceling headphones over their ears. Like that's how loud it was. It was hard to hear people directly next to you at big moments. Every single third down, everyone's standing. No one, if you were able to stand, you were standing on every single third down. And anytime the Panthers were backed up close to their own end zone, everybody's standing up, like deafening. And it affected Bryce Young and the Panthers, no doubt about it.
that shit should have been a safety, by the way, because I think that was
Oh,
intentional grounding. There was not a receiver.
yeah, I just
anywhere
don't
in
think
the area.
he wasn't in the end zone when he threw it. I would agree
Gotcha.
with you. He was
Okay.
on the 1 yard line. But yeah, listen, here's the thing. The Lions are probably going to get a home playoff game if they continue to win the way they are. I mean, they have a pretty comfortable cushion in this division right now. And that's going to be a tough place for anyone to come play in a first playoff game since
That place will
93.
be rocking if they have a home playoff game.
Yeah.
And the other crazy thing too is, I mean, we've seen with Green Bay and KC that Lions fans are traveling scary well at this point.
Yeah.
So, in the off chance that they don't end up with a home playoff game, but they are very comfortably leading the division at this point. I'm feeling pretty good about our prospects and wherever we have to go. If we win that home playoff game, I'm feeling comfortable about, where we have to go after that. So really exciting stuff if you're a Lions fan. Now, this game, I feel personally horrible for Lamar Jackson because it was Drop City. And I know, Mark, you might have a different take on this game. But to me, watching it, I just saw receivers. I think there was 7 or 8 drops that were recorded by the receivers in this game. And they were well-placed balls, too. Like, it wasn't like, they were reaching for something and it popped off their fingertips. And it was, right here. TJ Watt, like, I think it was Zay Flowers. Like, he basically punched him in the throat because he dropped the ball. TJ instinctually goes to punch the ball out and try to get a fumble. He just punches the dude right in the face. It was pretty funny. I need to try to pull up a clip, but if you want to go while I do that.
I actually agree with you here, John. I am not a fan of Lamar Jackson. I will take every opportunity I can to make that point clear. This was not on him. As a former receiver, it makes me sick to my stomach seeing a game with 7 or 8 drops and it's not like these were tough catches. Like this is TJ Watt punching him in the face basically, but he drops this ball before he gets hit.
Right.
Like that's a clear, easy pitch and catch. You're in the NFL. You get paid millions of dollars to do this. There's no reason this should happen more than once a game, let alone 7 or 8 times. And eventually it starts to affect the quarterback and his trust and his relationship with these guys and the connection he has with these guys. I will say this, for whatever reason, the Ravens and the Steelers are, no matter what the spread is, no matter who they have on the team, no matter how bad one team is or the other team is on a certain year, these games are always close. They're always hard fought. They're always defensive. Dare I say this is the best rivalry in the NFL?
It's always a good one.
I think I don't know if you can make an argument that there's a better one because this has been a good rivalry our entire lifetime, John. And even on years like this year where the Steelers are shitty, and most people would agree to that, this was a tough fought game and always will be.
Yeah. Also, Mark, who leads the AFC North now?
Trivia question. I think the Steelers do.
The Steelers do. Who would have saw that coming? And we said that this division was going to be an up and down bloodbath. I don't know if the Steelers are going to end the season leading this division. It's crazy. I think at one point Baltimore led it. At one point the Browns led it, and now the Steelers. So we've had 5 weeks in, we've just had whoever's dominating this division kind of flip week in and week out. It's wild, and I'm sure again it's probably going to continue to be that way for the weeks ahead. It's just a bloodbath of a division. Bengals, which we'll get to, are looking a little bit better, so they could start creeping up. Who knows? Definitely wild. Texans at Falcons, and Stroud continues to play really well, but this just, wasn't the Texans game to win. Falcons were the better team here. They're able to get a little bit more offense going. Bijan had another great game. Why is it always the Falcons that get that like highlight slow motion following who the ball carrier is thing? Because it is like, I want to see that for other teams, but I'm only seeing it for Falcons plays. Is it
I
just
think
their
other
media
teams
team?
do it. I think other
Okay.
teams do it as well, but yeah, they're just posting Bijan because he's an alien. I mean, he was abducted as a child and he was dropped back off down here. He's not from Earth. There's no way. I can't believe honestly how quickly he's come into his own and he's dominating the league, making people look silly every single week. I mean, I can't put him in the aliens of the week more. I already put him in there twice. I was tempted to do it this week, and he barely was cut short. But if I added one more clip, it was probably going to be him. So it's tough. He's an incredible player. They got just enough done. It's funny too. Look how accurate gambling predictions are. I mean, the spread was 2. They win 21-19. It's scary how good Vegas is, but This was a close game. CJ Stroud continues to prove he's probably the best quarterback in the class. It's another solid week out of him and the Texans. And I'm not writing the Texans off yet. I can't do it.
They're a
I think
decent
they're
team.
actually, yeah, I really do still think they're flirting with that division, and they'll definitely compete with the Jags and that division. But the Falcons are also not a team I'm not gonna write them off yet. And I don't believe in Des. I still want to see Heineke, because I think this team goes from flirting with all these close games and barely surviving to like winning these games and like with some actual demanding fashion with Taylor Heineke at the helm. So I want to see that. I want to see Ritter benched. I want to see Heineke and what he can do. Not because I hate Ritter. I just think Heineke is a spark and he's a passion player and he's going to get the most out of this team that clearly is hungry because they're winning these close, hard-fought games.
Yeah, man. And I think a lot of people can make comments about, how their weapons are being utilized. By the way, they just traded for Van Jefferson today. So adding another receiver that, is probably going to get 3 targets a game to their roster, just like their first round Drake London and first round tight end and Kyle Pitts. So by the way, Sam Laporta now with just as many career touchdowns as Kyle Pitts 5 games into the season. So talk about, I don't know if it's Pitt's fault. I just know that is some underutilization to say the least, regardless of Pitt's talent level. So,
which you and I called in the draft previews this year, by the way, Sam Laporta. Yeah. Again, if you don't think we know ball, we kind of do. At this point, there's not much. I mean, we've had some really, really horrendously bad takes. That's going to happen. I mean, all we do is make takes on this podcast, but goddamn, we're right most of the time.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we're just, throwing shit at a wall and seeing what sticks. If you get up here and talk for 2 hours.
I don't know.
No, I'm proud of our fantasy content, but in one of my work league of all leagues where I thought I'd just mop people, I have the most points against in the entire league, and I have 1 win because of that. And my roster is pretty much exactly the same as another league in which I'm undefeated. So I don't. Just no rhyme or reason, just everybody showing up to play.
It's fantasy football, John.
It's
Patriots against your Saints
are dead. They are
the Patriots are you could make an argument right now that the Patriots are the worst team in the NFL.
Yeah,
you could.
Their offense is non-existent. They got shut out at home.
And last week they lost 38-3.
Yeah, they topped their worst loss of all time last week with a new worst loss of all time against a team in which I have been complaining since the start of the season. Can't figure out how to get their players to mesh offensively. And look, it's tough because Patriots defense is usually pretty good. So I want to get kind of excited on that aspect, but I also can't get too excited. I think literally the Patriots are just dead. And the Saints put up 34 points because the Patriots are dead. Mac Jones sucks. He is a bad quarterback. He's regressed so much since his rookie season. I don't understand it. So
yeah, and I think part of that is on the stubborn nature of Bill Belichick and his refusal to bring people in that are actually going to develop and help call a decent offense. Here's my thing. Bill Belichick, considered probably the best coach of all time. are we just seeing it more and more that Bill Belichick was never, ever the reason behind their success in that dynasty and that it was Tom Brady? Like, are we just seeing Tom Brady's legend grow as he's retired and as the Patriots do worse and worse without him? Or like what are we seeing here? Like, is Belichick just continuing to get pushed further down on the respect tree, on the legendary tree, and Brady keeps going up even though he's not playing anymore? Like, what are we seeing here? Is this what this is? Or
I don't know. I think there is right management. We're seeing this with the teams that are good right now, and we're seeing this in a different parallel that I'll get to. Management, coaching, and quarterback all need to be walking basically in lockstep with one another in order for an NFL team to have sustained success, right? You look at Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes, they are perfect for each other. And you look at, what's kind of starting to develop between Jared Goff, Brad Holmes, Ben Johnson, Dan Campbell, and how that's starting to turn into, something that's noteworthy. And then you take a look at, Sean Payton and what he was able to do with Loomis, who, did an amazing job drafting for him for all those years, and Drew Brees. And so you're seeing Sean Payton absolutely fall flat on his face in Denver in incredibly embarrassing fashion because clearly management, him, and Russ are not walking lockstep whatsoever. I think actually those three people couldn't be any further apart in their philosophies from drafting, play calling, play style, etc. So long-winded answer to get to the point that no, I don't. I think they brought the best out of each other. I think they were a match made in heaven with Tom Brady, basically being somebody that is a team player and is always going to, take coach's orders and all of that stuff. And Bill, who's a grumpy, stubborn old man, worked really well together. But, success only lasts for so long, and now it's gone. How much longer until Bill Belichick, is no longer the head coach of the Patriots? Because, okay, great, Super Bowls, legendary. What have you done for me lately? There's no improvement. There's just pure regression. And have you guys talked to people from New England about sports ever? They're assholes. They're
not very patient.
They're not going to be patient.
John, you answered the question without answering the question. I hope you know that. You compared Bill Belichick to Andy Reid. Andy Reid won with McNabb. He won with Michael Vick. He's won games with Alex Smith. And yes, he's won games with Patrick Mahomes. Okay. Sean Payton, you compared to Bill Belichick. He won all those games with who at quarterback?
Drew Brees.
What happens the second he's not coaching Drew Brees? The Saints sucked.
Yeah.
They sucked. He sucked when he was still there without Drew Brees. He sucks now with Russell Wilson. Belichick had Brady all of those good years. He has now had, 3 seasons? He's in his third. Is this the third season without Brady?
Yeah.
Yeah. They've had losing seasons each of those years. They are not the same.
Or actually, it's the fourth.
Yeah, it's the fourth.
You had Cam Newton for a year and then 3 years of Mac Jones. Yeah.
The difference you just said, Andy Reid won with all these different quarterbacks, right? All these changes, 2 different franchises. He's a winner, right? Through and through. Bill Belichick's been at the same franchise. He controls all the pieces. He does what he's got full control over everything that happens. And the second Tom Brady leaves that door and goes to a different team, and Tom Brady left and had success within 1 year with a different quarterbacks coach in a different system, in a different environment, different teammates, different team, different home.
And even after the Super Bowl, they were a playoff team every year too.
Yeah.
So
I think it's becoming crystal clear that I think Belichick's a great defensive mind. He's one of the best coaches of all time, but he is not the coach that we once thought he was. He was just elevated to a higher pedestal because of what Tom Brady is. And crazy saying that, but I really don't think you can even argue it anymore. He's getting embarrassed in games this year. He had games even in the last few years where the Patriots were embarrassed.
Yeah, I mean that Bills playoff game where the Bills basically played a perfect offensive game. They scored on every single drive. No, it's really bad. And Patriots fans, I get that you guys are in a depression phase, but let's not forget that you guys were the winningest franchise basically ever in NFL.
It's the best
history.
dynasty of all time. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
you can literally...
I would feel bad, but I don't. Sorry. It's time for somebody else to be a consistently good Super Bowl winning football team, because you guys had 2 decades of basically uninterrupted Hall of Fame Super Bowl level play. Titans at Colts. I'm shocked that the Colts won this game, frankly, especially with Richardson going down. Richardson's going to be out for a while, from what it sounds like. He has I'm not a doctor, grade 3 sprained AC joint. Yeah, so
yeah,
he's for
ACG
sure
joint. On a quarterback, it's tough. There's
on
a
his throwing
common
arm.
there's a common thing here, and I don't know if Colts fans are starting to notice, but Gardner Minshew's kind of the guy. When Richardson is not playing, the Colts win football games. So you can say all you want that Richardson looks good and his 360 spike is sweet and badass, because it is. He looks like a freak athlete. He's making some impressive plays. But if you want to win football games, consistency is key. Having the team is key. And there's no doubt about it, Gardner Minshew is doing that. And the Colts are right now a better team when Gardner Minshew is playing quarterback. They win games when he's in.
Yeah, no, I think they are better this season with Gardner Minshew right now. Like I think he's. But here's the thing:
they don't want to admit it. They don't want to admit it because they're obsessed with him. They're obsessed with Richardson, and they don't want to be wrong about that draft pick. Like the Panthers are probably wrong about Bryce Young up to this point, right? You don't want to be wrong. You don't want to have to admit that. But they are winning more games. They're having more success when Gardner Minshew is taking the snaps. And that is a fact. Whether you like it or not, no one's rooting for this guy to get hurt. But
no.
When he ain't playing quarterback for them.
Well, and look, I get he has a different style of playing quarterback than a lot of guys in the league. But I think everybody really quickly is saying, "Oh no, he's he's developing. He's what we want him to be. Look, he's a freak athlete." I think his completion percentage is hovering in like the low 50% right now. Drew, if you want to fact check me on that, I think I saw a stat though that his completion percentage is like 53-54%. That doesn't cut it in the NFL. That's something that has to improve. So before everybody declares victory, and I'm coming to my co-host defense here too, and saying he's not a bust and all of this stuff. Look, man, again, not at all rooting for an injury in the slightest. If you have a quarterback that is getting injured on a regular basis, this is his 3rd injury in 6 weeks, and he's missing some significant time for this one in particular, and his completion percentage is below 60%. In the NFL, that has bust written all over it, regardless of the things that he can do with his legs or some of the throws that he has made by just chucking stuff downfield. And
John,
I just think that's something you got to be cognizant of.
Can I ask you a question, and we go down a little story, right? Who's the 49ers' current quarterback?
Brock Purdy.
Yeah. What happened? Who was starting ahead of him and then got injured and then was traded to Dallas?
Trey Lance.
So Trey Lance getting hurt gave Brock Purdy the opportunity to come in and show what he can do, correct?
Correct.
Anthony Richardson getting hurt because he was drafted high. He should have probably never been the starter anyway, but he was named the starter a little bit too, premature. Him getting hurt and giving Gardner Minshew the opportunity to play. Do you see kind of a common trend happening?
Get money, Gardner Minshew's just going to pop off, is what you're.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying, because also in his previous years as a backup, when he got his opportunities, he played very well and won a lot of football games. So all I'm saying is when you get an opportunity and a guy's an underdog and he's proving himself every time he gets these opportunities, and those are limited. That's all I'm saying. Brock Purdy would have never gotten a chance if Trey Lance didn't get hurt.
Oh, also, I wanted to mention this while we're on the Colts. Jonathan Taylor's holdout worked. Congrats, Jonathan Taylor.
Sometimes it works. Sometimes it works. Although Zach Moss was the guy who had over 150 yards on the day, which is ironic.
He had a bigger day, and everybody was making jokes about that. But just got to say, shout out Jonathan Taylor. Bold strategy, I think, given his situation. Sometimes a holdout makes sense. Other times it doesn't. I think the odds were frankly stacked against him. And it got really ugly for a minute. Jameer saying we're going to be dust in the wind and the NFL doesn't care about us, getting real dark with it. But he signed a $42 million check to Jonathan Taylor, huge extension. So congrats to him, and happy to see him on the field playing again. So a little sneak preview of Jets Broncos there. My bad. Philly at Rams. Can we? I get that they lost this game. Can we start putting a little bit more respect on Sean McVay and this Rams team at this point, though? They might not be a playoff or Super Bowl contender. I think they're back to being an above average team again. The Super Bowl hangover of a lifetime really caught up to them last season, but they're kind of, they're playing against really dang good teams and they're able to compete and look like, they have a shot at it. What I'm noticing right now is they're struggling defensively more than they are offensively. And I know they had a low scoring game here, but they actually moved the ball quite a bit. I'm just curious what your take is on Sean McVay's status as a head coach and, where he feels like maybe, we can guide this Rams team this season, but, in the coming seasons too, if Stafford sticks around.
Yeah, I think Sean McVay is a genius and has been a genius. I think he's an offensive mastermind. He sees the game different than most guys. I mean, you don't become a head coach in the NFL at, I think he was in his early 30s by accident. He's one of the few geniuses out there that are truly remarkable. He's got a guy like Matthew Stafford who he clearly connects well with. You add a guy like Cooper Kupp who connects well with not only McVay but Stafford as well. You add a young guy like Puka Nacua who's learning from Cooper Kupp, who's learning from Matthew Stafford, who's learning from McVay, and you have a team that is no longer that Super Bowl team where these expectations are crazy high. You don't have big egos like Jalen Ramsey still on the team and all these superstar players. You just have guys who are going to go out there and grind out games, and they're going to try to win, understanding that they don't have the best roster in football, understanding that they're probably the underdog in most games they play. And I think they've embraced that. And that's kind of what Matthew Stafford had to deal with his entire career. And he won a lot of games that he probably shouldn't have. He lost a lot of games too, but he won a lot of games he probably shouldn't have because he was always up against it. And the team kind of buys into that same thing. I think McVay bought into it as well. He's not used to being the underdog because he's had so much success early in his career. But this year, it's a different story. I think they've embraced it. And like you said, I mean, they're staying close with very good football teams, and they've won more games already than most people think that they were going to. So you talk about teams that are either noticeably bad at this point in the season at that 5-game mark, teams that are really, really good. The Rams I expected to be one of those bottom tier teams, and they're right there in the middle. They're right there in the middle. You have to give them their credit. They've definitely overachieved. The question is, do they go up or down from here? Because it's kind of a slippery slope. They could easily get worse, and I think they could easily increase and continue to compete and get better.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of these teams that are kind of in that middle era like that, you kind of know what they are right by end of October, early November. And so, I'm not sure what the Rams' next stretch is. I can look that up real quick. Should have probably been doing that while you were talking. But, I think they have a lot of winnable games because they had, such a horrible season last season that their schedule isn't too tough. I mean, they have Cardinals, Steelers, Cowboys, Packers, Seahawks, Cardinals again. So, I mean, you go 3-3 down that stretch. I mean, that would honestly be pretty good. And you might have the option or opportunity to do better. So, all right, Bengals are finally returning to form a little bit. Again, some of these teams, man, history continues to repeat itself. This team, every season that we've watched them, has started a little shaky. Everybody's asking questions on, are there playoff hopes still alive at all? Early in the season, starting as rough as you do, can you really bounce back from that? And while the Cardinals, aren't a great team, as you kind of said, to win in decided fashion is really good. And not only that, but the passing game felt like it was back. The special Burrow Chase connection felt like it was back. Burrow actually had some time to throw in the pocket. So a lot of positives. I still think the Bengals have a lot of climbing to do in order to kind of get out of the hole that they dug themselves in. But one of those games where you have to win it if you want to keep your playoff hopes alive right now, especially in a very competitive division.
What did I say, John, last week when Joe Burrow's back's against the wall? He's not one to fold, right? Like that. He's Joe Cool for a reason. This is what he's been doing. They've started slow. He never panics. Right when everyone wants to write him off, I threw my best bets, and I said, this is an absolute must-win game, and in must-win games, he rises to the occasion, and he brings the guys with him up, right? Instead of a lot of guys choke under pressure, he brings everybody up, okay? Pressure makes diamonds, and he is a goddamn diamond, okay? He was making incredible throws. He looked like his former self. The injury did not look like it was holding him back. He was getting the ball downfield like he needs to. Jamar Chase had a freak day. He tweeted a picture of 7-Eleven after the game. He's always open. I mean, they have their swagger back, they have some momentum back. And like you said, the Steelers are atop the division right now, and everyone's kind of beat each other. The Bengals are right there in last place, but they're very, very, very close to, one division win, and all of a sudden they're jumping right up there in first place. They are not out of it. They are far from it. And just as everybody forgets about them, they do this every year. It seems like every year, and they're going to end up right at the top, competing for that division, winning playoff games. Like, this is who they are. This is who they want to be. And this was a get back game, and they did it. They did exactly that. They got back.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I'm excited to see, where the rest of their season potentially goes. Because as you said, Joe Burrow is not going to be one to call it quits in October. Like, that's just not who he is. Casey at Vikings. Vikings are officially in tank for Caleb Williams' watch, I think, at this point. And potentially trading away some of their larger assets. Honestly, like, Justin Jefferson, I don't know. This injury feels weird, right? The talk around this injury feels like he doesn't really care to come back and play for a team that is this far gone. So I'm curious what your take is on it, Mark. But I think
that's a lot of speculation. I mean, you watch the clip. I mean, I've had that injury a few times. The hamstring injury, it sucks. It lingers. It's a very hard one to return from. Cooper Kupp had the same injury, and he tried to come back too soon and retweaked it, which is why he missed even more time this year. He overextended that leg, and that's exactly what happens. And you can see he pulls up right away. Jefferson's a great competitor. I don't think he's going to choose to sit out of games if he can play. He's going to try to get back, but the Vikings are absolutely in danger. And like you said, John, I mean, you look at this graphic, all those close games last year, they were able to get the edge on in those games and win most of those games. And this year they're in close games again. They haven't been blown out, but they're not winning these close games. They're not putting it together at the end of games. Kirk Cousins is not looking the same as he did last year at the end of games. That clutch factor that he had, the big plays that he had to Jefferson, those aren't happening, right? And I think we kind of talked about this when I said Justin Jefferson, I don't think is going to be, the top receiver in football this year. I think that he's going to see different coverages. Teams are going to start to figure him out. It's very rare that receivers and quarterbacks can just dominate an era of football without defenses starting to adjust. Because once you've shown all your tricks on film, that's all teams are trying to do is prepare for you. So if other guys don't step up, which this year no one else is stepping up, the Vikings haven't scored a rushing touchdown this year.
I did not know that.
Yeah, they haven't scored a rushing touchdown. So you want to talk about the problems. I don't think it's necessarily Kirk. I don't think it's Justin Jefferson. It's the fact that you're missing the pieces around you that helped you get over the edge last year in close games, and you're just not doing that this year. I don't think the Vikings are a bad team. I think they're one of those good teams that have lost all their close games. And I didn't think that they were a bad or good team last year. I thought they were just, winning. They were just a good end of game team,
Yeah. And I do want to retort, the situation about, look, don't be wrong. Situationally speaking, I do think the refs had some very questionable calls go Casey's way, but like, we also need to, give credit where it's due in the sense that the Chiefs actually do climb up the penalty issues quite a bit as well. They got penalized almost twice as much that night as the Vikings did. So to act like they weren't also hurt or affected by penalties isn't accurate. I would say you had a lot more, ground to stand on against the Jets the other week. I don't know. I think this is just the Vikings being the Vikings. And obviously they had a couple calls not go their way, but as Lions fans, what we've been hearing our entire lives is whenever a call that doesn't go your way decides the game, that we just need to play better. And the Vikings are definitely, in that boat as well.
Have you heard about the Swifty conspiracy?
No. What's the Swifty conspiracy?
Travis Kelce obviously tweaked his ankle, non-contact injury, did not look good. He goes back to the locker room. He comes out at halftime and is able to just play and score a game-clinching touchdown. People are starting to think that Taylor Swift may have been in the locker room, maybe performed a little bit of some kind of ritual that may have helped heal him. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know.
If anyone can do it, it's her. The guy was, I mean, it looked bad. It looked like a bad injury. It looked like he was going to miss some significant time.
I
He
think
comes
the
out-
only magic powers that Taylor Swift has is to throw money at a problem. And, maybe she did that. Maybe his medical staff is very well funded at this point.
I don't know, man. Have you looked at Taylor Swift?
Yeah, I have. I don't want to make any judgments.
You're
about
gonna
Taylor Swift's look
create
yeah,
you're gonna
that's-
create a
I'm
huge.
gonna plead the fifth.
Swifties are going to come after your ass.
That's what I'm
dude.
saying. I'm not even gonna bite on that. Anyways,
I was baiting John.
there
so
was so
hard.
much bait.
I was
There was
baiting him.
bait in
I wanted
every sentence.
Swifties.
there.
I'm gonna drop your phone number, your Twitter handle to Swifties, and just have them come after you.
Honestly, getting doxxed by my co-host might be the best thing for this podcast. I think that would make headlines in a lot of places. But I'm gonna request
As if you haven't
humbly
tried
that
to.
you don't do
If
that.
you haven't, you've totally tried to get me ruined several times.
By saying the Lions were a bad team last season and you still not being able to take the ACT, sure. But
That and several other things.
I don't even know what you're referring to at this point.
There-
I can
'cause there's a
speculate
list.
though.
Because there's
Yeah.
a list.
There's a long history of Mark and I together, so there's plenty of options of us mutually trying to ruin each other's lives. So at least I can back up that. Jets, Broncos. Oh my
Favorite
God,
game
the
of the
Broncos.
week.
Broncos are
Favorite game
so
of the
bad.
week.
Broncos are so bad.
God, this was the most satisfying game that I was able to watch in a long time. That doesn't relate to like the Lions or anybody. No one playing that.
Hey,
I'm
No, well, one person playing,
okay,
Tyler Conklin, friend of the show.
Friend of the show. Had
That-
a great game. Had
That
a
play
fantastic
was beastly.
He made several plays though. He made several plays in the
He
game.
made several awesome plays, but you know which one I'm referring to.
Yes.
Just most tight end thing that you can do: catch a ball, and it takes freaking 5 guys to tackle you.
Yes.
You get a bunch of
Yes.
chunk yards after the catch. It was beautiful.
It was
Conklin,
awesome. It was great to
you're-
see. And they were playing with an edge, man. And it was really cool to see the Jets buy in and have their coaches back. I mean, a lot of teams, there's not a lot of real personal connection with the coaches. You can tell that's not give credit to Robert Saleh. He made Nathaniel Hackett honorary captain this week. He gave him the game ball after the game. There was definitely a motive that was bigger than just a normal Sunday afternoon football game in this game. I mean, for the Broncos to pull out some of the coolest uniforms I've ever seen and still get their ass handed to them in a game where Sean Payton, he set the precedent of what this game was going to be. He said it. Okay. He said, okay, we're going to make this game different. We're going to make this game a little bit more than a normal Sunday afternoon game because I'm going to talk shit to Nathaniel Hackett, knowing damn well I play him week 5 and he's coming back here. And this is just so perfect because Sean Payton, this is exactly what I said when I went my rant when this first happened, when Sean Payton opened his dumbass mouth about Nathaniel Hackett. I said, if you're going to do this, all you're setting yourself up for is a huge, huge issue if you do not beat the Jets in week 5. Guess what? Aaron Rodgers doesn't even play. He doesn't even play in the game. You have Zach Wilson come into Denver and they still win. And they messed up. Not only do they have the coolest uniforms I've ever seen.
I was going to say, it should be illegal to lose.
You can't wear those uniforms and lose like this in a game like this. But the Jets also, right? They won this game in a great fashion, but they choked at the end of the half and left points off the board by not being able to spike the ball on time. So that happened, and the Jets still didn't really have to worry and still won this game without it being incredibly close.
And made a critical mistake, right, with that interception, which I mean, that's more, credit to PS2 than it was
in the red zone, though.
Yeah,
it's two different critical mistakes that took points off the board, and the Jets still won by 10.
Yeah, and the capitalization of that from Denver was for Russ to sack, fumble, 6 it. I can't think of anything less clutch than that. Denver, you guys are traded a shit ton of picks away and paid him a massive contract to be so clutch that he fumbles the ball for a touchdown, a scoop and score to end the
game.
John,
my take here on this game, and this is like my final take, and this is 2 weeks ago. This is coming from the guy 2 weeks ago who put the Broncos in their best bet and they lost by 70. The Denver Broncos are in the worst position of any franchise in sports. They are in a fat contract with a coach who clearly was not the reason the Saints had success. Okay, way more of that goes to Drew Brees. That's clear. Okay. You're in a terrible contract and you traded away a shit ton of picks for Russell Wilson, who stinks. And you can't get rid of him either. So you have the leader of your team and then the leader of your team as a player, both stuck there in this shitty culture. And by the way, those two leaders don't like each other. And you're stuck.
It's rough.
And you have no way out of it. And you stink. And your defense, that was what was keeping you in games every single time last year,
completely
stinks.
Inverted on itself. I mean,
you
oh my
stink
God.
in every single aspect. Not only that, but you have your coach running his mouth to other teams that stink. And then they come into your house when you wear the sickest uniforms ever with a sick logo at midfield, and everybody's all hype about it. And then you get your ass beat. It's not good to be a Denver Bronco right now. And it doesn't look like it's going to get any better. I would rather be the Panthers, the Bears, the Cardinals, the Patriots. I'd rather be all those teams than the Denver Broncos right now. And
yeah, because there's no way out. That's
there's
some
no
of
way
those
out.
teams might be worse. I don't know, but they're only going to be worse this season. Well, I really don't know how you salvage what is going on in Denver right now, other than hitting the reset button on all of what you just said, which would force you to suck for another few years at a minimum. I mean, the Denver Broncos traded their soul away for a Super Bowl, and it has felt like that ever since. It's rough. All right, Mark, you were pretty hot on the Cowboys going into this game, and rightfully so. I think a lot of people would say that they're one of the more explosive teams in the league. And what I'm shocked by is that I finally got fooled this season, where the first few weeks of the season, I was like, man, the Cowboys really look like a Super Bowl team. This might actually be the time that the Cowboys live up to the hype. And they go up against what I think is the NFC Super Bowl contender, the team to beat on this side of the NFL. And they get absolutely embarrassed. This game wasn't even close from the start. They were completely manhandled. And again, all three phases of the game, they looked like the Lions playing the Panthers, except the Cowboys are supposed to be a top 3-4 team in the NFC. I was shocked at the result of this game, and I am on the San Francisco hype train as much as anybody else is. I think they're the best team in the league. And even then, I was not expecting anything close to this result. It was crazy.
This is more, I think this is more about how good the 49ers are than how bad the Cowboys are. I think that obviously these two teams don't like each other, and this is a rivalry game every single time they meet. But I mean, I'll be honest. I just think the 49ers are that much better. I don't think the Cowboys are a bad team. I think the Cowboys are still a very good team in the NFC. I just think the 49ers are that good. I really do. I don't see anybody beating them anytime soon. Brock Purdy deserves to be in the MVP conversation. George Kittle pulling out the F Dallas shirt was awesome. I don't know if you saw that, John.
Yes, I did.
So, listen, the 49ers are just the best ran team defensively, offensively. They don't skip a beat. They lose to Mika Ryans. They don't skip a beat. Okay. They just reload. You have Brock Purdy playing quarterback who nobody thought, I mean, he's literally Mr. Irrelevant, and he's playing like an MVP in his second season. He has not lost a regular season football game. He has not lost a game yet in which he doesn't get injured. He got injured in the first quarter driving against the Eagles. Again, God knows what would have happened had that not happened. So yeah. This guy literally doesn't lose football games if he finishes the game. So, I mean, until he does lose, this was dumb of me, especially to put them in my best bets. I totally fell in the trap that, John, you mentioned. Dallas got me suckered into it. I'm not going to be picking against the 49ers until they lose.
Yeah, I truly think, like, it's very, very rare in the NFL where there's a team where you're like, man, can this team actually go unbeaten this season? And barring injuries, I mean, they have no weaknesses on either side of the ball. And that is not an exaggeration. It is not.
No, it's scary. It's scary. They have a perfect situation.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I'm like, and honestly, it's like one of those situations where, like, you just, like, it's special that you get to watch this team be as good as they are. It is fun football to watch because it is just that much head and shoulders above every other team in the league as of this point. that might change 10 weeks from now. I don't know what it's going to look like at the end of the season. Right now, the 49ers are a Super Bowl favorite, and I don't think any team looks even close to as dominant as they do at this point in time. And to go from really good football and football that's just amazing to watch. Man, that Green Bay Raiders game was rough. It was one of those games where it felt like both teams were beating themselves, and it was just who beat themselves more rather than who actually beat the other team. I don't understand how Josh McDaniels has a job, frankly.
He's an idiot.
I think Matt LaFleur honestly made some foolish decisions, like putting an edge rusher on coverage against Devontae at one point in the game. Not a good look either. This was a rough game to sit through, and I feel bad because Jordan Love started really strong for the first 3 weeks, but I think that this team's losing the plot a little bit because this Raiders team is one that they should have beat probably decisively, considering, what the Packers have going for them at this point in time. Tough game to sit through. So that's my take on it. Right. The loser of this game was America, frankly.
Yeah, it's tough. Tough game to watch. Devontae Adams needs to get more targets. They need to get him more involved. It's the only hope that Vegas has. They won this game. Josh McDaniels on, shout out to him for being another idiot of the week. Besides obviously Mario Cristobal. 4th and 1, they're up. I believe they were up 4, and they decide to kick a 53-yard field goal, which they missed, giving the Packers a chance to drive down and score to win the game. That didn't make much sense to me. I don't know why you don't just go and get the first down and pretty much seal the game. The Packers, I don't think are very good, John. I just really think it's that simple. Another team like the Patriots have been spoiled for many, many years, always competing, always atop the division, and they aren't this year. They're just not very good. They're young, as they're really, really young. They have some good young players, but it's tough to win with just good young players. You need some veteran guys, and they don't really have that.
Yeah. And not to mention, and this is just a crazy, way to kind of talk about the state of the NFC North. This team would be 1-4 had they had not, essentially been gifted a Derek Carr injury that allowed them to have a very impressive comeback against the Saints. Had that game not occurred, all 3 teams except the Lions in the NFC North would be 1-4 right now. Doesn't make you feel super good about your prospects if you're the Vikings, the Bears, or the Packers, because again, I don't know how you're catching up to the Lions at this point. There's at least I think LaFleur is legitimately a good coach, but he clearly has been coddled by the fact that he's had a Hall of Famer at quarterback that is very confident in how he likes his offense to look for the past few years. And there's going to be some growing pains with him and Jordan Love for the next probably year or two, because that is an entirely different beast of its own to coach up a young quarterback, just kind of getting acclimated to the NFL with a bunch of, as you said, Mark, very young weapons around him as well. So not all hope is lost in Green Bay. Definitely wouldn't venture as far to say they're the worst team in the league, which that's the next conversation we're going to have, Mark, is who is the worst team in the league? I mean, we did our power rankings last week, and I think those have even maybe shifted a bit week over week, but we're not going to do, we're quarterly power rankings here. We don't need to do them weekly. But if you had to pick one team that is the worst, hands down, who is that at this point in time?
I mean, I kind of already hinted. It's the Denver Broncos to me. I think the Denver Broncos are, not only are they in the worst situation of any team, I know they just beat the Bears. Okay, I get that. But if they played again this week, I think the Bears win that game. Like, I think right now, as it stands, the Broncos have the least to play for. They have the most issues going on, and it's affecting them. And they're just overall not a very good team. They're the worst defense in the league. They have a terrible quarterback. Their head coach doesn't connect with these players. If you wear uniforms like that and you can't even keep a game close with Zach Wilson and the Jets, I'm sorry, but you're the worst team in football. In a home game, by the way. In a home game.
I'm inclined to agree with you. I would say maybe Carolina. But again, Carolina has a future to look forward to, and I don't know if there's any way out for Denver for the next couple of years. They literally dug their own grave, and now they have to lay in it. So I think I'm going to agree with you that as of this moment, I think the Denver Broncos are the worst team in the NFL. Sorry,
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought? Not us. We definitely didn't see this coming. Moving on to next week. So is there rhyme or reason to like bye weeks, or is it just kind of like where they can fit them in the schedule? Because I was surprised to see that there's only 2 teams on bye this week, but there were 4 on bye last week. I thought it kind of like builds up. It's like
There's 3 on bye, isn't there? Or no, there's 2.
No, that's not how even numbers in a 32 team league works.
It just threw me off because you put Jefferson down there on the graphic, and then I realized it's because he's injured. I get it. Yeah, no, you're right.
Right.
I don't know. I think it's just random though, John. To be honest with you.
To continue our Broncos are bad at football narrative, we get the treat of watching them on Thursday Night Football this week, and they are going up against previous Super Bowl champs, the Kansas City Chiefs, with a 10.5-point spread. Mark.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Chiefs. Mahomes has never lost to the Broncos, and it won't happen on Thursday night primetime football on Amazon. It won't happen.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you. I'm going to take the Chiefs. I haven't seen enough offensive efficiency to want to put them in my best bets, but how bad the Broncos defense is making me consider it. So I'm going to ponder that as we continue to take our picks here. I might backtrack to add that one in, but I'm going to think about it. Ravens at Titans in England. Ravens are 4.5-point favorite. I like Titans getting 4.5. Both of them traveling to London. Both defensive teams. Yeah, I like it. I'm going to add this one to my best bets, I think.
I like it. I just don't like it as much as you. I can't add it to my best bets, but I do really like the Titans. Mike Vrabel they dialed up some tough looks for Lamar Jackson the last few years. They've had his number. And when they've played, the Titans have definitely made his life hell. I think that they do it again. I think there's some issues, obviously, with drops on the back end, the trust issues there. And, that was against a good Steelers defense, and there was guys open. So what's going to happen when they play against the Titans defense that is confusing Lamar and throwing him different looks? And, you combine that with the drop issues. I think the Titans are slightly better overall than the Steelers anyway. I really like the Titans with those points, but I can't put it in my best bets.
Yeah, and I mean, the other thing, though, that's worth considering, Baltimore is 3-0 across the pond, so that's -1. But also, this is the year that they've had some streaks snapped, right? They were the preseason champs, undisputed for many years in a row, and the Commanders spoiled that streak. So I'm gonna roll with it, and if they lose, they lose. San Fran at the Browns, only giving 5.5 points. That kind of surprised me. I know the Browns defense is absolutely no joke, but after what they just did to the Cowboys, man, I got to go San Fran, giving 5.5 here. I think they win by more than a touchdown.
Yeah, it's fishy, right? It's fishy. You wonder why it's not higher. Deshaun Watson, I think, is going to play. I think he's coming back. I gotta do it. 49ers are my best bets.
I think I'm gonna hop in that with you.
I after what I saw this week, now I am worried about a little cool down game. I am worried about a little bit of a slump after such a emotional, exciting win against the Cowboys, who they hate. That this could kind of be a trap game, but the 49ers are good enough to overcome a trap game. That's what I think.
Yeah,
like they could come out sluggish and still win by 15
scores.
Yeah.
I mean, and the thing is the Browns defense no joke, 100%, but the 49ers have so many offensive weapons that you can.
Yeah,
there's not a weakness.
McCaffrey comes out a little bit slow, and Debo has the day of his life, or Kittle has the day of his life, or Juszczyk has the day of his life, or Ayuk.
Yeah.
you know, or the defense, right? I mean, Deshaun Watson, this is a tough look for him. You know, it's a tough defense to go against.
Yeah. It's yeah, I was about to say, like, I think worst case scenario, the offense comes out sluggish and the 49ers defense can still dominate. So, and I don't think they match up well either, right? Like, I think the 49ers defense has a very strong advantage in the way that they play versus what the Browns have
Because
been
they can stop the run, and
Yeah.
you know, we'll see if the Browns can do enough in the pass game.
Right. Carolina at Miami. Miami is 13 and a half point favorites, excuse me. So they got to win by 2 touchdowns. And I'm still compelled to put that in my best bets because of what the Lions just did to Carolina. I mean, that is a
Well, don't
tough
get it twisted,
environment to
John. The
play in.
Lions are a better team than Miami.
I think the Lions could beat Miami. They'd have to hang in there defensively, but I think offensively we can score just as many points as they can.
Yeah,
I'm gonna leave this off of my best bets, but I do like Miami to cover here.
I'm also going to do that, but I'm going to leave it off my best bets.
Colts at Jags. Jags are 4-point favorites. I like Jags to cover. They kind of got to win this game. I mean, divisional game. Colts are not a horrible team. Gardner Minshew's back at the helm there for the next few weeks. Like, this is an important game for the Jags to win.
Yeah, I think the Jags cover. I can't put it in my best bets because it's a revenge game. So Gardner Minshew, former Jag,
Okay, noted.
can't do it, right? I could see the Colts winning because of that, but I will pick the Jags.
Vikings at the Bears, certified tank bowl. Vikings are 2.5-point favorites. I like the Bears getting 2.5 at home. Got a little bit of confidence. Vikings are in shambles right now. Yeah, I like the Bears to cover. Not getting added to my best bets, but I like them to cover.
I like the Bears to cover as well. Justin Fields, 8 touchdowns in the last 2 games. You know, that's a hell of a
Going
lot
up
more than
against the
Kirk
bad
Cousins.
defense.
Going up against a bad defense. Going up against a team that just lost their best player. Yeah, I like the Bears in this game. I don't love the Bears though, so I can't put it. You don't go 16-9 by putting games in there that you don't love.
Yep, that's true. I got some catching up to do. It's annoying to have a positive record in this, and still you are head and heels above. All right. Seahawks at Bengals. Tricky one. These are both 2 good teams. 2 teams that, kind of have a fire under their ass to win some games, especially Joe Burrow and the boys. I'm gonna say Bengals here. I think, again, kind of one of those games you got to keep. You got to win every game for the next few weeks, basically. So we'll see what happens. Your Jersey Mike's just come in.
No, Twan's leaving, going back to school. He came in. He said one thing. He said Bengals. That's what he said. He said pick the Bengals. I think I'm gonna take Cincinnati. I'm not gonna put my best bets, but I think that they've started to turn the corner, and this is a step in the right. They beat a bad team. That's called a get back game, and now they play a good team, and we've truly gotten back. Right, you have to beat a good team to truly be considered a threat. This is their opportunity to do so, and I think they do get this done at home.
I like it. Saints at Houston. Saints are a very small favorite. First of all, my cat needs to shut up. I thought I killed her, and she's just back from the dead.
Dude,
do you hear that?
You're telling me a ghost cat is haunting you right now?
Ghost cat right now is
Halloween
screaming
time?
on the other side of the door because she's hungry.
That's funny, 'cause I
anyways.
thought I killed Twan, and he just walked in.
Right. So yeah, our ghosts are coming back to haunt us. I'm not fooled yet with the Saints' offensive productivity. I just think the Patriots might actually be dead. So I'm going to hold off on another week of potentially adding them into any best bets, but I do like them to cover here. I think they'll win this game.
I'm going to take the Texans. At home, I like CJ Stroud. I don't think the Saints are very good. And I think that last week was kind of a fluke just against a really, really bad team. So I'm going to take the Texans. I'm not going to put my best bets, though. I don't love this board so far. We'll see if that
Yeah.
changes as we get to the back half of it. But so far, it's some tough lines.
Commanders at Falcons. Falcons are a 2.5 point favorite. I don't like this one because I feel like the Commanders got something to prove after that loss, very embarrassing loss to the Bears. So I'm not going to touch this one, but I also like the Falcons to win and to cover.
I actually like the Commanders here. Mostly because I think the Commanders will play pretty tough defense against this Atlanta team. And I still like what I'm seeing out of Sam Howell. Believe that or not. I mean, it's crazy to see, but I like the Commanders.
I dig it. I dig the pick. While I disagree with you, this is a really tough one. And I do think, man, I don't think they're playing bad football. They're just, I think, still kind of getting in a rhythm with things. Eagles at Jets with a 7-point favorite. This one's tough, man, because like Jets got to keep winning. There's a fire under their ass. Eagles are undefeated, but the Jets play really, really good defense. And I think they match up well against the Eagles, frankly, at least defensively. I'm going to pick the Jets to cover here.
Okay. I'm going to take the under.
Taking the under. I like it.
I'm going to take the under. I think it's a good defensive game.
Best bet, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't love taking unders. They're not fun to root for, but I think the Eagles offense, doesn't match up very well against the Jets defense, and I think Zach Wilson doesn't match up incredibly well against this Eagles defense, and therefore there's going to be some horrible mistakes that maybe lead to some quick points, but I don't think either offense does enough consistently to get to that number.
Lions at Tampa. But who do you think is going to win the game, though, for the Jets?
I think the Jets cover, but okay. I think the Eagles win.
Got it. Lions at Tampa. Lions are a 3-point favorite. This one's tough too, man, because Tampa's not a bad team. They're playing good football. It's at their home turf. Again, don't love this board as of right now. I like Lions to win. I like Lions to cover. Not going to add them to my best bets.
I'm going to add the Lions to my best bet.
Yes, sir.
A lot of distractions going on in Tampa right now. Baker Mayfield at College game day for the Red River rivalry last week. They had their bye week or whatever, coming off the bye. They've had some extra time to prepare, but sometimes teams come out of that bye week a little slow. And I think the Lions are going to come and hit them in the mouth. So,
yeah, another thing to mention too with the Lions is that they have been playing very well in away games, really since the second half of last season. So, while you want to respect a home field advantage in most circumstances, the Lions seem to not give a shit about that whatsoever.
Oh shit! I forgot though, John.
What?
The Bucks are wearing their creamsicle uniforms.
Oh, do you want to take that back?
Oh my god! I have to consider this. Give me 10 seconds to think about this. I gotta imagine it in my head because those are some of those might top the Broncos with the coolest uniforms so far this year. Actually, they will top them.
Also, I decided I'm adding KC to my best bets because things are looking light, and I was thinking about it, and we don't like the rest of this board, so I'm going back and doing that because I like KC to win by more than 2 touchdowns.
I'm gonna keep the Lions. I'm gonna keep them, but it's kind of like betting against Dick Puck is dying. It's what am I doing? But also I really do think the Lions win this game. And I think they win it by more than 3, but the creamsicle uniforms, dude, it's such a cheat code.
Also, this is probably going to be the best uniform matchup of the week as well.
This might be one of the best of all time.
Yeah, because I mean the Lions Honolulu Blue is going to go really well with that orange creamsicle. Like they're going to contrast very nice. That's gonna.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that I cannot wait for that game just on that premise alone.
I might watch it with the volume off and just like vibe out. Not even watch it. Like I don't even want to hear what's going on. I
You just want to see the colors.
Sure.
Yeah. Pats at Raiders.
Revenge
Student
game.
versus master revenge game. Both these teams suck. You will not catch me watching this game. So if I sound like I am making stuff up when we are recapping it next week, it's because I didn't watch it because it's a horrible game.
At least John's honest. John, what happened last year when the Raiders played the Patriots in Vegas and I told you revenge game and Chandler Jones stiff-armed Mac Jones and actually buried him? Maybe that's why Mac Jones is so bad this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do remember that.
So that same theory applies to this year. Although there's no Chandler Jones, there's still McDaniels, who clearly wants to outsmart the guy that he coached under for many, many years.
Prayers
You have
up to Chandler Jones.
You have
by the
Jimmy
way.
G, okay, who do you remember Jimmy G was shipped off by Belichick. Okay, he didn't want to keep him around to back Brady up when Brady was done.
Raiders
He
are
wanted to
winning
ship
this
him
game
off.
and covering.
Raiders win this game and cover. Patriots stink. Max Crosby eats Mac Jones alive. He might eat him just like he's like a Big Mac. I mean, literally, because he kind of is a Big Mac. Mac Jones isn't a skinny guy, kind of fat, kind of a loser. Give me the Raiders. Give me him in my best bets. Mac Jones blows. Bailey Zappi should start this game. Doesn't make a difference, though. The Raiders win.
I like it. I like that entire spiel. Cards at Rams. Rams are a 7-point favorite. That's kind of shocking. I mean, I like Rams to cover here, but man, that's a generous amount of points. I feel like based off of how both of these teams have been playing this season. But
I like the Rams. I like the Rams to cover as well, just because of the matchup here. But I'll tell you what, the Cardinals have come a long way from you calling them the Angry Birds. I will tell you that much.
they did. They didn't like that.
No,
I would
they
love
did
to
not
make
like
them an
that.
Angry Bird logo right now, but I can't.
You can't do it yet.
Nope. All right. So not adding to best bets though.
No.
Just confirming. Okay. Giants at Bills, and Bills are unsurprisingly in this case a 14-point favorite.
Yeah.
I'm inclined to take that just because the Giants have let up a significant. I mean, can probably backtrack here.
Daniel Jones is out.
Daniel Jones is out. So they let up 2 touchdowns here. They let up more than 2 touchdowns there. They let up more than 2 touchdowns there. They have had 1 game all season in which they let up less than 14 points. So I'm going to add that to my best bets. I like it.
I can't do 14 points my best bets, even though I will take the Bills to cover. The Giants stink, but I think they might actually be better without Daniel Jones.
They might be. Sometimes you sometimes get a little bit scared about that second string quarterback. Who is for the Giants, by the way?
Tyrod Taylor?
Is it still? Giants quarterback roster. I'm seeing, dude, Giants website. Why do you not have this listed by position? That is making it very hard for me.
Pretty sure it's Tyrod Taylor.
It's Tyrod Taylor. Yep, he's still on the roster. So,
yeah. The fact that we didn't know that gives you everything you need to know why John's putting in his best bets. I do think he's probably better than Daniel Jones, though. So
he might have a better game than Daniel Jones for sure. But hey, if you're throwing to nobody and your offensive line can't block for you, that doesn't change the situation.
The Bills' defense is also dropping like flies. They are injury ridden.
Yeah.
So
you're making me think twice about it, but
I don't want to sway you. I just am telling you why I'm not putting in my best bets. 14 is a lot.
It's a ton. It's a ton, but the Giants have been able to do that once the entire season.
I know.
It's not get blown out. So,
and the Bills are a good team.
And the Bills are a good team. I guess it's just deciding on what side of the bed Josh Allen wakes up on that day. By the way, we didn't really cover this too much, but like, are him and Diggs good?
Yes.
They had a whole
Yes.
other like angry married
They're
couple.
he's just an emotional guy. Diggs is just a drama queen. They're fine. He needs Josh Allen. They're fine.
All right. Cowboys at Chargers, Monday Night Football. Cowboys are a 2-point favorite.
Home underdog Chargers, Justin Herbert. I kind of like it. Dallas pissed off though. Dak pissed off.
Yeah, after getting completely embarrassed. But Chargers kind of a must-win game situation still.
But also revenge game for Kellen Moore.
Oh,
You know, there's a lot of interesting factors in this game. I am going to take the Chargers to cover, but I'm not going to put in my best bets.
I'm really thinking about adding them to the best bets right now just because
you hate the Cowboys so much.
I hate the Cowboys. I definitely respect them less after last week. Kellen Moore being on the other side of it. At Chargers. Fuck. I don't know. I'll leave it off, but I might be kicking myself for that. You know what? You know what I'll do? This is what I'll do. I'll take the over. There we go. That works. I at least feel like I'm doing something.
You got to get it. You got to catch me somehow.
Yeah, it's just exactly like I need to somehow, some way. So, all right, everybody, that was week 6 in a nutshell. Mark
week
and I
6 prediction right there.
Yeah,
crystal ball, 16-9. Why would you not ride with my picks? Why would you not?
I sweat. I sweat on this board a little bit harder than last week. That's for sure. So
yeah, I don't love this board as much, but listen, I love the picks that we made. I don't love all the picks John made, but I like some of them. I love the picks that I made. 16-9. He's 11-10. Those are both winning records. Why would you not ride with 2 winners? Guys that clearly know ball. I mean, it comes back to that. Like, use your brain or don't use your brain and use our brain. We know ball.
I'll take it. And I will leave everybody with that. Have a good night, and we will catch you guys next week. And by the way, a lot of short form, medium form content going on. So if sitting through, an hour and a half of, 2 dudes going back and forth about, who has the better football takes isn't, your thing. We have a bunch of other videos that you guys can watch. They're a little bit more bite-sized, varying levels of bite-sized. So make sure to check those out. Check out our merch store if you haven't before. Comment, subscribe, like, all that good stuff. We have a Discord if you want to, tell us why we're stupid privately instead of publicly. Up to you. Always an option. A lot of different ways that you can watch our content and a lot of different ways that you can insult us for the takes. So it's perfect. Match made in heaven. We make it as easy as possible for you guys. So we appreciate it, and we will catch you next week. Peace.
See you guys.